Let's get started with the Grandmother Circle, Voices Across Generations. Welcome everybody to the room today. This session is going to be recorded and sent out afterwards for those who aren't able to attend or just love the session so much that they want to watch it over again. A special thank you to Alberta Blue Cross as well for sponsoring this event. But before we begin and we get into our discussion and conversation, I want to begin with proper protocol. And I have tobacco that I want to offer Edme, Bonnie, Doreen, Nicole, and Shiloh. Just for your knowledge, I'm asking for your knowledge today as we go through these discussion questions. And I just want to thank you as well for being here and for sharing this wisdom with us today. As well, I want to welcome up Bonnie Healy, a bundle holder, Blackfoot bundle holder, and traditional knowledge keeper as well. And I want to offer you this tobacco as well, Bonnie, to start us off in a good way with a prayer too. So here, and I will get this to you after the circle as well. So off to you, Bonnie. Bonnie, for starting us off with that prayer and just starting us off in a beautiful way with those words, and also for praying for everybody as well. Really, thank you. So moving on to what I've heard or learned from my elders over the years is how important it is to acknowledge the land that we're on and the history of that land, and to just acknowledge the connection that we have to it as well. So on behalf of Alberta Recreation and Parks Association, I would like to acknowledge the First Nations, the Métis, the Inuit, and all of the people across Alberta who share a history and a deep connection with the land. We dedicate ourselves to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. I myself want to acknowledge that I'm calling from McKinsis here in Treaty 7. I'm honored to call this area home. I feel a deep connection to the Bow River and always to water, to wherever I go and explore, but especially here in Calgary. And I'm just honored that I get to live, work, and play in McKinsis on these lands, and honored to call this area home. Please feel free to pop in the chat box where you're calling from and how you feel connected to the land or how you honor the land as well. My name as well is Madison Drader. I'm the Program Officer of Education and Allyship with Choose Well. I'm also your moderator for today. I'm Métis with relations as far north as Paddle Prairie, and I'm a proud Métis woman connecting back to that side of me. I'm also Ukrainian and Norwegian as well, so proud of that side of me as well. I want to open up the floor now to the elders, knowledge keepers, and up-and-coming voices to introduce themselves. So I'll call on you, and then I'll just ask to add any pieces as well about yourself. So starting first, Elder Doreen Healy, a Blackfoot elder and the visionary behind these circles. A lot of us know who Elder Doreen Healy is, and so I want to welcome you, Elder Doreen, to add anything else to your introduction.
Thank you, Maddie. I'm so grateful that all of you are here to share with this session. The whole webinar started COVID. The reason why we started the program was I wanted to share and help young women so that they're just starting their new journey in life, and with us that have already gone through a lot of the trials and tribulations of life, to help our young women so that when they do encounter different situations, they remember what the grandmothers have all shared with them, because we've had this going for some time now, and we've had several different elders that have come and spoken to at one of our sessions. So today I invited Bonnie and Shiloh. Uh, we said grandmother's circle. I wanted to share that you don't have to be an old lady like me. Bonnie is still so young. Shiloh is so young. But I wanted to have them share, uh, especially Bonnie and Shiloh, from the experiences they've already gone through. Bonnie has been a bundle holder. Um, I'm just so proud of both of them. Um, so that's why I wanted them to share their what information they want to share. And for Shiloh, she's just such a bundle of information. We sat at one of our sessions at the Sundance, and while we were sitting waiting, she educated us. And I should know some of this stuff, but I didn't. I'm a city Indian, so I just I just was so amazed at the knowledge this young woman had, and so proud of both of them. So that's why I've asked both of them to come and speak to help our young women that we can always help along their long journeys that are still coming. So, and then of course, Edme, she is such a beautiful elder. We enjoy her company whenever she joins our meetings with the elders. And I haven't met your sister, so I'll leave that to her to introduce herself. But she's as beautiful as you are, Madison.
Doreen, you're giving me chills right now because the way, you're speaking about how Shiloh has just passed on information to you as well is really the point of this next chapter in the circle of having those intergenerational voices because they're so important in that. So I think that's really beautiful. So thank you, and thank you for being the visionary behind these circles and helping them come to life to what they are. And yes, thank you to Bonnie and Shiloh and Nicole for being the new faces to the circle as well. I'm going to continue on to Elder Edme Comstock, who is a Métis elder and has been in the past grandmother circles. And I know myself and anyone who ever gets to hear from her feel very honored. And it's always special to hear from Elder Edme. So Edme, please introduce yourself and let us know anything else we need to know.
My name is Edna Comstock. My father made me an elder when I was young. And I'm from a family of 17. I'm the youngest. So many things have happened and many things we can talk about. But I had met Doreen, and when she smiled, she made me feel welcome. So sometimes people don't have time to talk, but even if they give you a smile, it's a welcome. So I'd like to thank Doreen for inviting me. She asked Janet to invite me, so I was honored to be invited. There's so many, every nation has an important elders, or many elders, some of them. And they're all important. And every nation is important. Remember, we're all made by the Creator. So as I see all these beautiful looking ladies, so much they offer, and even coloring your hair, you still look pretty wonderful. Thank you very much, and I pass it back to you.
Thank you, Elder Edme. And yeah, speaking on the different nations in this call, it really is beautiful that we can come together and share that together. Next, I would like to welcome Bonnie Healy to introduce anything else as well. Like I had said, Bonnie is a Blackfoot bundle holder, knowledge keeper, and just brings so much wisdom to the circle. So we're happy and thankful to have you here, Bonnie. As well, I want to mention, because I don't think you can see the chat box, but there are a few people just thanking you for the prayer as well from earlier. So thank you again for that opening prayer. Oh, I think you're muted.
I am. Thank you for the introduction. And I know I shared some slides at the last minute, but if you can share or help me to share my screen, I'll just use one slide, and it's an ancestor slide that I usually use just to help, I guess maybe people learn, when I was learning how to come back to being Blackfoot or coming home in a way.
Bonnie, I
Yeah.
do want to, I can definitely share this slide, but it's not coming up in my email. I don't
Okay.
know if you attached it, but I can allow you to share your screen.
Sure. Yeah. Don't
Okay.
judge. I have lots of things open. So
No judgment. That's just real. That makes us
okay.
trust more.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna make you a co-host. So I think you should be able to share it now. If you go to the bottom and press the share screen.
can you see my screen yet?
Wonderful. We can. Yep.
Okay. All right. So what I'm going to really talk about is um, my journey to really learning what it means to be Blackfoot in this world of interruption. As I journeyed home and lived all over the place. So I carry my grandmother's name, Doreen's mom, Apoyaki. Um, and I started really following the ways of our ancestors. And it wasn't at first for, um, I think, what really interested me or what really help me connect was my father. When he was 47, he had a massive heart attack, and I was a new nurse. I was a young nurse. We lived in Edmonton, and there was a medicine woman. She was Cree from Driftpile, and she doctored him. And he was on this heart study after about a year. Um, he had his assessment and checkup, and his blockage was quite high. It was over 75%. And after a year, it was almost undetectable. And so, in my naivety, I told the medicine woman, I said, what did you put in there? We got to patent this. We'll be rich. She's laughing at me. She's like, no, this was only meant for him. The spirits had spoken to me, and I didn't, I had took a long time to understand what she was saying. But prayer is in our way, in our Blackfoot way, it's meant for the DNA of that person. So it comes to that cellular level. And the Western currency is irrelevant to us. And, it just passes. He soiled his hand. He threw your money in the fire. Let's see how long it lasts. And he threw the dirt to the fire. He says, I and out, and then more in my early 20s when I was close to this medicine woman that was working with my dad, and then became intensified when my parents and my daughter joined a piercing Sundance, and I was busy being the nurse working all over the world, and I was working in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I traveled back home primarily because I was concerned because I said, okay, so what's going to happen? They're like, well, we're going to fast for 4 days, no food or water, and we're going to dance and pray. And I'm like, okay, dad has a heart condition. My daughter is really young. Like, I wasn't too, I was scared. Like, I was nervous. And so I was there as a nurse at first. And then a year after being there as a nurse, I became a dancer and I joined. And my daughter laughs at me because I had a really hard time quieting my brain and stopping this because it was always going and really feeling everything and feeling it from the heart. So meditation was really difficult for me because I couldn't turn off my head. I was always thinking in the future. I was thinking about other things. She likes to think that I have maybe a little bit of attention deficit. And I was like, well, I'm just trying to change the world. trying to make it a better place. And when I was trying to do it as a nurse, it was impossible. I couldn't do it. And it was the journey back to myself that I really started to have a good understanding as to my path. And there was no surprises to the path that I led in my life. So I'm going to start, I guess it would be on my left. So the one picture where the man is alone, that's Head Chief Red Crow. So Head Chief Red Crow raised my grandfather, who's next to him, my great grandfather. And so I'm not biologically related to Red Crow. It's through adoption. And then the story about Red Crow, who's a big snake from Siksika. He was a twin. His mom was a big snake. And he was, his dad is an Englishman, I think Welsh, they said. And when his non-Indigenous wife moved back from Dundee, she kicked out Big Snake with her brand new twins. And at that time, famine was really intense. And they didn't know if the two twins could survive with what she had. And so her sister was married to Red Crow. And she asked Red Crow if she could take one of the twins. So she took my grandfather and raised him. So Red Crow was raised from birth, well, from being an infant into old age with Red Crow. And I didn't find out that long ago. I think it was maybe about 5 years ago. I was speaking at a meeting in Siksika about my lineage, and it was a relative, Big Snake, that came up to me and told me the story. And it made me feel so good that my great grandfather was raised by his maternal aunt, who is like a mother, right? And because I always thought, oh, my poor grandfather was, like an orphan. And he wasn't. He had a mother that loved him very much. And he held a bundle. And so when the blood tribes, when the newcomers came into the country, they asked to share, they wanted to share our big camp with the prime minister and his wife. There was a piercing component, and she was traumatized. And so our ceremonies became outlawed in Canada, became part of the criminal code in Canada. And that's where it started. We had fair warning so we could hide the bundles before the police came, but others didn't have fair warning. And so I was talking to a chief in Musqueam, and they were given the option of burying their bundles or burning them. And he talked of his dad being taken out of school at 15 and having to cut down the Ogon and burn it. And, it was very traumatizing right across Canada. But we were really fortunate that the bundles were saved and they were hidden. And my grandfather carried it for most of his adult life. I believe it was like 27 years. And so for me to go into to our sacred societies and become a bundle holder, that path was set for me already. And he raised my mother. My mother was raised in that camp. And she, she hadn't been back, since she was a little girl. So when I started camping there, she came, and one afternoon it was kind of quiet in the camp, and she was sitting there and she goes, "Gee, I used to think this camp was so big. I used to have to run from that part of my teepee was there all the way to the other side." And she was 3. And so I can understand why she thought it was so big. And I said, "Well, we're so and it was really quiet there because nobody really went up there because the churches did a good job of making it taboo, And when I joined, I really could feel him. I could feel his energy, his help, I would call on him often to guide me because it was a steep learning curve. So he's a really special human being. And then my other grandfather next to him in the headdress, this is Morris Manyfingers, who's actually a Croppered Wolf. His mom had married a Manyfingers and he took on the name, but we're actually Croppered Wolves. And then the other ancestor, so the one with the horns, he was also in the Horn Society. And this is Joe Healy, who's Aputana is the flying chief, is his Blackfoot name. And his last name is Wolf Moccasin. So he's a survivor of a massacre. So his parents must have put him in the lining of a teepee. And John Healy, who was an Irish whiskey trader, found him in a camp with a bullet wound in his leg and healed him, and he stayed with him for most of his life. This is his family below, the family picture. And we came across this picture actually in the Hudson Bay. They had it on display. It was kind of, I didn't know that was my family until much later. And now that I'm getting to know the lineage of the Healy family, it's huge. And I'm getting to know more and more. And then my grandfather, this is my mom's father, this is Frank Manyfingers. And so he was a cowboy. He really took it on. And I want to say that he planted the seed of courage in me a long time ago. So one of my jobs as a child was to stand on the road when he ran his 300 wild Mustangs into the corral. They barely fit in the corral, like they were going to, pop out. They were so squished in there. And he would make all us little kids line up on the road and tell us to stand like a star. And he'd run right past us for the last time, and he would say, "Don't you move," and point at you. Then, so I just closed our eyes. At first, you feel the ground rumble, and then you see the big cloud, and then you see the stud come over with all of the horses behind him, and he's like a dragon. He's just bucking, and dirt's coming out of his nose. And I just had to close my eyes because I thought I was going to get run over, but I had to trust my grandpa. And that lesson taught me courage. I'm not afraid of anything. And it's not a surprise that I do startups, like starting up a research center, starting up, this settlement agreement for day scholars, the residential school survivors, is because he started the Indian Associate, the INFR, so the Indian Northern Rodeo Association, I guess. I can't remember the acronym, but anyways, it was founded on his ranch with 2 other cowboys from our community, and still is running, which is amazing, And then there's my grandmother and my grandfather. My grandmother, I didn't live with her out of necessity, but I would cry to live with her, and because I was so close to her all my life, and loved her dearly. And she spent most of her life in the school, the residential school. She was there from 2 years of age, and she retired there working. And she never talked bad about the school, which was interesting, but come from some amazing humans. And it's no big surprise as to who I am. And just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bonnie. When you said that you wanted to change the world, or you're like, it's time to change the world, that gave me chills. And I think, yeah, just everything you ended up speaking to shows exactly that and the changes you are making. So we have a few people in the chat box as well, just saying thank you for that too. Beautiful. Next, I would like to invite Shiloh Healy, one of our new and upcoming voices to the circle as well. Hi, Shiloh.
Hello, thank you for having me, and thank you for the prayer. Okay, Nasto Anago Ganatsisinski. My name is Shiloh Healy. Bonnie Healy is my mom, and Doreen is my great auntie. So that is our connections there. I think for a lot of my career, I've been working with First Nations data, and just really kind of being that translator of numbers to community, and then translating community needs and context to those numbers. So really trying to go back and forth between those two worlds. My what I'm really, really proud of that is my life work is that I've been fortunate enough to be paid to actually go sit and visit with elders. So for a long time, I worked on a research project where we were looking at what do our babies need before they're even coming into this world, so that it can change the trajectory of their health outcomes. So I was able to sit with elders, and we got to discuss and change the definition of well-being and what it means to Blackfoot members. And so I got to hear stories, I got to hear the language fluently, and really start to translate and analyze all of that data to really redefine that definition. So it was less individual, more collective focused. And it really had accountability into it. We have to take care of others, and our land health is deeply connected to our own individual health and vice versa. Further with that work, we also had to define indicators to start to measure that definition.
Thank you.
So we're still working on doing that. My work will continue to again meet with the elders and visit with the elders and just listen to them about the teachings that they have, about our protocols and everything like that can help us live a good life. Another piece of that project was to revitalize Blackfoot birthing knowledge. So I was able to sit with the grandmothers and hear their birthing stories and help remember that language that was lost, because it's not really written down anywhere. With all even our history books, a lot of those anthropologists were men, so the women's history was always kind of overlooked or just a passing sentence in those books. So it was really, really, it was difficult to hear those stories because there's such trauma that was associated with them. But it was really beautiful to begin to make that space for them to come together, hear that they weren't the only ones that experienced negative things, and that they could start their own healing journeys together. What else? I think that's all I have to share for now.
I mean, there's so much you shared that I just have more. Oh, Bonnie, go ahead. You and me.
Oh, just wanted to share. Shiloh is a Ganuksomidak, so she's a member of the Brave Dog Society. And they're the ones that really run the big camp. They make it, happen in order. And I had to do a bit of her job this summer and to help people to dance with the bundles and guide them. And I told her, I just had to help one person. You had to help everybody. She goes, I know.
Yeah, it sounds like Shiloh, you have like that talent of being able to, yeah, touch many people and help many people. So, like I said, everything you just talked about, I'm like, oh, like that is amazing work. Like want to hear more about that. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Okay, next but certainly not least, we have Nicole. Oh yeah, Elder Doreen, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you to Bonnie and Shiloh for sharing. Thank you so much. And looking forward to Elder Edmay. He's always got such good stories.
Oh,
And your sister.
okay, Nicole, go ahead. As Elder Doreen said, Nicole is my sister, so I
If
am
you couldn't tell.
proud, and yeah, that too. We have some relations here today in the circle. Yeah, Nicole,
Yes,
please go
sure.
ahead.
I'm Nicole. Hi, thank you for having me. As Madison said, we're Michif. Our family, we're Red River Métis. Our family started kind of in like central Alberta, and we go as far north now to Paddle Prairie Métis settlement, and we're Villeneuves, which is a pretty common name. If you're Métis, you probably know a Villeneuve. Um, and I like to tell people that we always knew we were Métis when we were growing up, and our grandmother told us to be very proud of it. We were very lucky in that regard. We were never told to be ashamed. Uh, but there are a lot of things that were maybe not openly discussed. And so my journey with my cousins and my sister and my family has been to reclaim and really like proudly declare a lot of the things that maybe were quieter in the past. And so that's been my journey recently, and learning from my elders and getting to be part of this kind of a conversation. I'm very passionate about Indigenous midwifery and land-based practices. So hearing from Shiloh, that it's really cool to be getting so much knowledge from the next generation, which I guess is what they call us, and then our elders and our knowledge keepers, not only from my own Métis community, like with Elder Edmay, but also from Bonnie, who thank you for sharing your prayer earlier, and Elder Doreen and Shiloh, like I mentioned. So yeah, this is great. So thank you for having me.
Thanks, Nicole. And I agree, it's so special us to also have women and women's perspectives because, like Shiloh was saying, it's not always a perspective that has been honored or, yeah, especially in the Western culture, obviously. So, um, okay, I want to just give a few quick shout outs to our Zoom support. We have Alyssa, Kayla here as Zoom support. So thank you so much for those two. They're giving a little wave. Thank you for Janet Nachlia for also being here in the background today. Also giving a little wave now. So thank you to you three for your help today. As well, I want to give a really big and special thanks to Alberta Blue Cross for sponsoring our event and sponsoring the Grandmother Circles. They've been involved in sponsoring the Grandmother Circles like the past, I want to say 3 or more years. And we're just so grateful when we get to work alongside Alberta Blue Cross to make these circles happen. So, Ashley, I want to invite you up to yeah, give some words on behalf of Alberta Blue Cross.
Awesome. So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Ashley Balduke, and I'm the Manager of Community Impact at Alberta Blue Cross. And I'm joining today from Treaty 6 territory in Edmonton. Alberta Blue Cross is proud to be a sponsor of this beautiful gathering, and I'm truly honored to be here. This Grandmother Circle is always a place of learning and reflection for me personally. Events like this help shape how we live our values at Alberta Blue Cross, reminding us that real inclusion starts with listening, connection, and respect for the communities we're privileged to walk alongside. So thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you, Ashley. It's always nice to work alongside you, walk alongside you, and yeah, get to host these events because of Alberta Blue Cross. So thanks. Okay, I mean, we've already had some really great discussion just from the intros so far, and I've already gotten some already like knowledge and learnings to take away. So excited, thankful for that. But let's get into our first discussion question. Just before we begin that discussion question, Elder Doreen, did you want to speak any more on the background of the circle, or you're happy with what we said in the beginning?
I think I've said enough. I want to hear what the presenters.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so like Elder Doreen said, this is just the new chapter of the circle with all of these new and amazing voices that we want to hear from. So the first discussion question, which I think we're only going to get through this one with the time that we have left. But the discussion question is, how have you experienced ancestral knowledge being shared across generations? And what impact did that have on you? So as a reminder, I'll read out the question like I did, and then I'll ask an elder or one of our knowledge keepers or special guests to answer. So first, we'll start with Elder Edme Comstock. How have you experienced ancestral knowledge being shared across generations, and what impact did that have on you?
A great impact. Everyone deserves to know who they are and to love where they come from. And every nation has such beauty. Like the prayer of this morning, although you don't know the language, there's the beauty of the prayer, the beauty of the person saying the prayer. So it has, whenever you hear someone else say the prayer, it's such a great impact of love for who they are and who their nation is and for all that we are. It's like I said this morning, the first time I seen Doreen smile at me, I didn't know if I really should be there because the invitation was quick and late. And I thought, well, yeah, I don't have to do my laundry today. I can do this. So I went. And it was the biggest gift I got that day was your smile. Accepting to accept who I was. Isn't that beautiful? That's the way my dad told me too. One time I was working and this young lady come and call me a dirty half-breed. I run home and I'm crying and not with my horse. I left the horse there. My dad said, what happened to the horse? I said, nothing. Elizabeth called me a dirty half-breed. He said, you're a too beautiful nation. Just don't ever forget that. And we're now called Métis. So it means the same thing. Go back, do your work, and love her. Say a prayer on the way there. Thank you. It has a lot of impact because everyone I've heard will always be here in my heart. The speech, the prayer, the sharing of your lives. And Doreen, thank you for being there in my life. You have never left one moment. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Elder Edme, and thank you for the reminder of what being Métis is, and for the young Métis people that are in the circle. Your words are really important and a good reminder for who we are. Janet wants to know what happened to the horse. Was there?
What happened? Well, first, before I tell you what happened to the horse, I must tell you my name in Blackfoot. Apamibiditeki, a cross-seeker woman from across the water, and I'm from here in Canada. And what happened to the horse, I finished doing what I was doing, pulling an arrow across the field. So I had to work till 4:30. So a white flag would come and that me and the horse come home and I'd have to take the harness off and make sure that the horse had water. That's what happened to the horse. Thank you.
Thanks, Elder Edme. You always give us a chuckle too, so we can always expect that. And we appreciate you not doing your laundry today and coming to the circle instead. So thank you. Okay, next I want to see what Bonnie Healy has to say to that question. Bonnie.
I must be a little bit of a attention deficit. Can you re-say the question?
Don't worry. I'm here for it.
My daughter's just laughing at me. I was too busy listening to the Edame and her sharing. I was like forgot about the question.
And then after after Bonnie, we'll have Shiloh and then Nicole. But the question is, how have you experienced ancestral knowledge being shared across generations, and what impact did that have on you?
Oh, there's so many events that have changed my life. And I think joining the society and, only being spoken to and taught in our language, and having elders tell you, our language is alive, right? And when I started to learn to speak it, in the prayer, and there's a part in our prayer where I'm really thanking Abistadoki for our holy way of life. And that all came alive for me when I was smudging, and because I pray every morning and every night, that's part of the care of the bundle when the sun comes up and before it goes down. And and then embodying the values, of our ancestors, so there's a word we always hear, Gimmabibitsin. And it's not just kindness. The translation is not just kindness. It's like, I think, real deep kindness. Like you can't have a superficial smile, it's like, it's your whole being loves that, the human. And, when I was sharing that I got my hair done, and the lady was sharing with me that she's Métis but feels like because she's lived a privileged life and able to, to be to be Caucasian in this life, it was easier for her, and she doesn't feel she has the right to call herself Métis. And I said, well, they'll come visit you. And at first you think you're going nuts, you're going a little crazy, because they will come to you and they'll wake you up, knock you upside the head, usually in a dream. And so when they had come to me on many occasions in dreams, one was to protect the water, and I learned that the thunder pipes are water protectors, and I had to share that with the pipe holders. That was in a dream. And it was the Lakota elders that came to me in a dream when Standing Rock was happening. And I don't pay attention to those things. And so I wasn't on social media, so I didn't know. But it was so, when I saw their encampment and I saw their two teepees put together with the long piece of canvas, like a big triangle, that was all in my dream. And then I remember telling my dad, why do they always speak Blackfoot to me? And he goes, because your spirit speaks Blackfoot. Oh, okay. Because I totally understand and I get the message. And so in a lot of ways, it could be really naive. But, the simplicity of who we are as a people, and somebody asks, so what do you do in there? Even our own Blackfoot people, it's such a mystery. And I said, we pray for the sustainability of life for all things living, and that it continues, for many generations. And so when we enter into that space, our life is no longer ours. It belongs to the people. And whoever asks, you can't refuse them. You have to help in any way you can. And really embodying that, and to understand our painting. I think I had an elder share with me, and she says, "Do you know why they paint you on the side and on the mouth?" And I'm so naive. I just no, I just know that's how we paint, and I got the ceremony to do that. And she says, "So your eyes only see good things, and so your mouth can only speak good things, and your hands, so your hands cannot harm anybody or anything." And our ancestors are so beautiful, and in many ways, but they're complex. I remember for the first time trying to pick medicine, and I had to pick sweetgrass, and a lot of it because we pray all the time, and so we needed a lot of sweetgrass. It was with Shiloh, and I was having a heck of a time. That grass likes to hide. The best time to get it is when the sun is almost going down and gets all shiny. But anyways, Shiloh says, "Why sweetgrass? Like, why do our ancestors choose this? It's so hard to find, and they have a sister plant, so it tricks you, And I said, "Yeah, they were, this plant is medicine, you just feel it as soon as you smell it, it wakes up things inside of you on a cellular level." So when I feel people, and when I am in tune and walking with prayer, I can feel people. I can feel when they're hurting. I can feel when they're happy. And babies and puppies always would love me, and cats, but it's intensified now. And one of the best dreams that I had was, and I don't call it a dream, it's when they took me with them, and to learn from our people, because I was walking with them. And it was a massacred camp, and there was a war party coming upon them. And they were quietly all working together collectively to take the camp down, and to walk, to move. There was no fear or panic in that camp. And when we were walking, I was walking with them. We all had buffalo robes on. It was cold. I could hear the frozen ground and the teepee poles being dragged on them. There was not a baby crying or a dog barking. And I looked up because I thought, I wonder how many of us there are. And I thought maybe 30, 40 people. There was thousands. We covered the valley. And I hope someday I could feel that collectiveness, that connection to each other, where we work like that to support and help each other. And to be shown it in their world was one of the best gifts I've ever been given. Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie. That connected piece at the end just, pulled it all together, and I got chills from that, because to hear your knowledge and your truth, and then to think that potentially we could live in a world like that, or that's the dream, to do that, to live in a world that's so connected like that, is really beautiful. So thank you for that. Okay, next we'll have Shiloh. Shiloh, did you need me to read the question again for you?
Nope, I don't have ADD. Just kidding. Well, I guess how I was brought up. I was super, super fortunate to be the only grandchild for 11 years. So I had my grandparents all to myself, my maternal grandparents. And I was even more fortunate because I was always with them, and I grew up in a household with them. So we were always living with them, or I was living with them. So I had they brought me around visiting to God knows where, I don't even know, to all these relatives on the reserve when I was little. And just kind of being in the presence of them visiting, it's crazy what you pick up and what you kind of retain in the back of your mind without even acknowledging it or knowing that it's like you did hear that at this place or that place. A huge thing that really influenced how I got teachings was my grandpa. My grandpa was a strong believer in knowing our creation stories, our mythology stories. So me and him, he kind of passed on that curiosity and that love for mythology onto me. So me and him would just nerd out and sit around the dinner table and just talk mythology to the point where people would be sitting with us and then leave the dinner table because they're like, I don't know what they're talking about. But that's what really kind of set the foundation of like, because everything in our stories, that's where our protocols are. That's where our teachings are, why we do the things that we do in ceremony. So when I joined the Ganaksumidegs, I knew those stories so well that I got to see them in action in the ceremonies. So it was like really quick to connect for me because I'd see them do something and I'm like, oh, that's that story or that's that part of that story. And just really like able to filter through that way. Joining ceremony too was a really big benefit to furthering those teachings. Just because you're exposed to a bunch of elders, a bunch of knowledge holders, relatives that all carry more or piece together more of those stories and memories to really give a clearer, bigger picture. There's a saying when you're at ceremony to hurry up and wait. And I get frustrated with it because you come from this Western time of like, oh, we only have an hour, or oh, it's got to start at this time. But you get to ceremony and you just hurry up and wait. But in that waiting part is like such a beautiful thing that can happen of just visiting with everybody. And so you have like more time, more exposure to hear little teachings that come up or to hear another person tell a story that I've already heard, but they carry a different piece of that story, or it resonates with me because I'm at a different part of my life. So those are all things that have really shaped my ancestral teachings. And then, just trying to have that responsibility to pass it on. So when we're sitting there, just sharing what I'm seeing or explaining it in that way of the stories that we could talk about that are about that ceremony. But there's a lot of stuff we're also decolonizing with the information that we're sharing. So because we went into hiding, like my mom had said with our ceremonies, a lot of that knowledge became kind of guarded and thought of as secretive. But what we're doing with my generation is we're really filtering through what's really secret and what was just common knowledge back in before colonial interruption. So that's a lot of responsibility I'm taking on, is just really being kind with elders and knowing that they're coming with traumas of what they want to share, what they don't know, and just really creating that space of kindness to keep those stories going.
Thanks, Shiloh. Just the pieces about your grandpa and like just listening in and being with them was also kind of making me think of my childhood as well, and how beautiful getting those like stories and learnings passed on, how important those are. So I again just speaks to how important this circle is too, and the knowledge too that's being shared. So thank you for that. The hurry up and wait made me laugh because I think that we're going to be going over time today as well. And so hoping everyone is okay with that. But if anyone does need to leave or duck out, totally understand too. But I do want to invite Nicole to speak on this question, and take your time to speak. this is the space for us to be sharing this knowledge. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that it's funny that I'm last because I knew kind of the answer to the question right away, which was we're an oral people as Métis people, and I see it in the Blackfoot culture. I see it in most Indigenous cultures. The storytelling, which isn't, when you think about storytelling, maybe from a colonial sense, it's just not the same as when we discuss storytelling. There's so much knowledge in there. And that is, it's storytelling is how I've experienced the passing down of ancestral knowledge. When I was little, I didn't realize that my grandma was sharing all of this wisdom and knowledge when she would talk about her life as a little girl. But my God, it was there. There was so much that she was telling us in seemingly nothing. For just an example is, she would say, "Oh, when we were little, we always had a lean red meat that we would put in our stew," and so it was just simple stuff like what they ate when they were little. And then as I got older, I realized that not only was she passing down the way that her great grandmother had been making this food, but with that recipe, she was also sharing information about like what we ate. It was moose meat that we were eating, right? And it was a root vegetable. And so I guess that's all just to say that stories aren't just stories; they're knowledge. And I have a friend who talks about how she's just been privileged to sit at the feet of her elders and listen. And so if we have these old people who have this knowledge, and we're so fortunate, just sit and listen if they're willing to talk, if they're willing to share their stories, because there's wisdom in that. And then the other thing I did want to talk about in how I've been privileged to experience that ancestral knowledge is kind of more personal to me, which is that I like to just involve myself in things um, whenever I can, and not be afraid to ask the elders in my community and in my family if I can be involved. So an example of this, kind of like inserting myself, they're my great uncles technically, but they do a netting trip every year in Lac La Biche, on Lake Lac La Biche. And I finally said, "Kay, can I please come?" And I offered my uncle tobacco, and I said, "Will you please let me be here for this amazing, this thing that I hear about when you're telling your stories, but I want to experience it, and I wanted that experiential learning moment." And they let me come, and I netted with them for the first time this spring. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I was humble in that I was not afraid to make mistakes. I wasn't afraid to get yelled at on the boat. And I went into it knowing that my uncles had so much knowledge that they wanted to transfer to me. And I wanted to learn it. And so it was just about not being afraid and saying, "Yeah, I'm going to do this. I might do it wrong. But I'm here." And they were, I think, as we've all seen today, there's so many like knowledgeable elders who want to share their wisdom. And so take that opportunity if you can, is kind of what I've learned and how I've been given the knowledge that I've learned.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nicole. And yes, I would say similar, as I just feel fortunate to sit with elders, to learn from elders from all different nations as well. And just being in the circle is sitting with elders as well as knowledge keepers and gaining that knowledge. So always thankful for that. I think I'm going to wrap up the discussion questions for now. I'll open it up if anybody else has anything else that they missed. I just want to leave some space for that if anyone else has anything that they needed or wanted to add before I ask Elder Edme to close us with a prayer. Thank you,
Thank
Elder.
you. Thank you, all of you.
And with that, I just want to thank everybody for being in the circle today. Thank you, Elder Doreen, for bringing Bonnie Healy, Shiloh Healy into the circle today. Very, very thankful to have their knowledge and wisdom here with us today. Thank you again, Bonnie, for opening us today in a good way and for coming, for your knowledge. Thank you, Shiloh, for coming, even when you had to, stop in the car parking lot. Always appreciate that. And thank you as well, Nicole, as well, for coming. Yeah, and thanks to everyone that is listening and watching.